Welcome back to the ACES-RG Dream League here after the first game. Alliance Monkey Freedom Fighters. You said they needed to do really well in their lanes. They didn't necessarily lose their lanes, but they didn't do as well as they should have done, I would imagine. Honey.
Very true. I think they got solely outfarmed in an early game. You had a few fights, and then suddenly, I think it was the 3 cores that were had by like 1k each on top of the network chart. But I think they just put too much focus on the top lane onto making sure that Ember has a good time against the puck. The approach early on was good. You do it for like 2-3 minutes, then you should shift. I think a Doom can be ganked on the bottom lane as well. But I just think they were too stuck on trying to kill a puck, which is probably the hardest hero to kill in these lanes.
Yeah, I also feel like when you sacrifice a Slaughter that long, like he's one of the most item-dependent core, right? Like he needs a Blink or the Force Staff to get anything done early. So it felt like for the first 20 minutes, MFF was fighting with 1 core less, which is eventually what I think that dealt me in. I felt like they need a big Slaughter. Also, I think the AA play could have been a lot better, but it's understandable because Way2 is playing on American ping, right? Like AA to me, when you're shooting an Ice Blast from so far, it's somewhat hard to be precise. But there was one fight where I think the Ice Blast hit on 2 or 3. The Wisp in particular, he just blew up. And that fight, MFF won quite easily. The other big thing for me was the difference in terms of the item build. Alliance Doom, they went for Armlet. Kind of the best item you could get like for the first 15 minutes when it comes to damage, armor, like one of the most cost-effective item. And then on the other side, you have an Ember Spare that won BLTs. The way that the game was going, I felt like an Armlet would have been much better than BLTs. No, that's a strict comparison, right?
I mean, Armlet was an interesting pickup to begin with on Doom. I haven't seen it before, personally, but I was noticing one interesting mechanism that happened with Armlet where as soon as Doom activated his Scorched Earth, usually when you activate Armlet, you can't blink anymore, so it's going to be stuck on your 3-second trigger time, you know, because you're taking damage.
Right.
But when the Scorched Earth was activated, he suddenly could blink because the region was higher than the damage he took. The blink dagger was actually not disabled.
I wonder if he...
I wanted to see it again. If I'm maybe seeing a situation wrong, but it looked to me that way.
That was the case. Okay. That was interesting. Yeah.
I believe that would not be the replay that Lumius selected for us, unfortunately. But we're going to find out what he did select for us in the Luminous analysis. No, Luminous analysis.
So unfortunately, we have lost the drawing function of our TV
board
in front of us. So we're going to just jump into the replay without any drawing. And real talk, I didn't select this replay. I was quite busy.
You were busy building your car.
Building other things. So, Hani, actually, you should walk us through this replay. Like, what was... I felt like at this point, MFF was already kind of losing by quite a huge margin.
I almost say this was to the end of the game, where you already lost the bottom lane. Alliance is still pushing in with the Aegis, so it's rather a tough fight to begin with for MFF to even go into. They're taking down the 2nd and 3rd racks. You can see somewhat, you can see somewhat of a defense here by MFF, but it was too late at this point. Actually.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things to defend is against Tiny Wisp when he sieges your tower. Like he kills it so quickly, and he's so tanky to begin with that. He had amplified damage on him the whole time, right? But he didn't care because he knew he had the backup. It was a great initiation, I think, from the Slaughter at the beginning. But like you said, Hani, it's just too little too late at this point.
A problem I just see with the draft is that, to me, Raze is just not the very fitting hero here. Usually when you run Ember, at least lately, is you have a 2nd core that deals damage. So Ember is not a reliant core because him in itself, he just doesn't deal enough damage. He's not the core that can just, you know, burst anyone. He's going to come in and move back out of the fight. But Racer, he just tanks, but he doesn't really deal any damage until the very, very late game. He's not going to come to that point, especially if he faces a dual lane where he had little but no help.
I think maybe they're expecting the amplified damage to really tie things over with the physical damage output. But at the same time, again, Slaughter had so little farm and experience that I don't think he had a level 11 until very late in the game, right? So,
so was it a drafting issue? As in, what would you like to see different if they had Different draft, perhaps.
Pick Mag or lose.
Hey, we might see it. That is actually, I mean, it was still on the pool when they picked Razor. Razor was the last pick for Monkey Freedom Fighters. Perhaps they realized, well, you know, maybe we need to try Mag.
I'm actually interested whether or not you will see a Doom again. If it's going to be even a pick or not.
Okay.
But I would definitely say it's one of the better heroes here for MFF if they have a chance to pick it up, because even with ping, there's not too much you can do wrong on the hero. Like, ping is not really an issue. You jump in and you doom someone. That's your task.
Yeah.
And
First
that would
pick is
be
going to
a
go to
favorable-
Alliance, though.
Yeah.
We are actually into the draft again. And so far, it looks quite similar. We have, again, the same bans
Same
as what we
picks,
had
yeah.
earlier.
Alliances
That means
turn to
Nature's
pick.
Prophet and the Brood away for Monkey Freedom Fighters, and Alliance ban out the Shadow Fiend and the
Did
Kingdom
they-
Plane.
Did they choose the side? Or why is it... Wasn't it Alliance having
Yeah.
the first pick twice now?
Yep, this is the same time twice.
Oh.
So one of the two
Radiant
teams
team
really likes
pick.
Radiant or really likes Dire, and really likes first pick or really likes second pick.
I believe it could be MFF that just chooses Radiant. Maybe the meta has shifted.
No, if you want to have a decent time on your lanes, like if you want to focus on making your lanes work, would
I
you go
mean-
for Radiant or for Dire?
I personally prefer Radiant always, because as a mid player, you just have
10
the mid lane is
seconds
just a lot
remaining.
safer for you. You stack the big camp, and
5
generally a
seconds
mid lane
remaining.
gang potential also towards the mid hero is a lot harder.
Yeah.
So in that sense, choosing Radiant makes sense.
Radiant team pick.
But you give away Doom twice as first
Alliances
pick, and I
turn
think
to
it
pick.
was the biggest struggle for MFF in that
Right.
game.
Wow.
They left him alone. He was free-forming for a good 10 minutes. And after that, he just was killable.
Yeah. I mean, him combined with the Tiny, that there was just so much HP pool and upfront that it was so hard for the support to fight around. So this time they get a Night Stalker, and I'm almost certain that this is a Yapzor Night Stalker. It's
10
one of his favorite
seconds
heroes.
remaining.
He spams it in pubs. He's so very good with the hero. He generally
5
has big games,
seconds
but
remaining.
we'll see if it's going to be the case. They do run Ember as the first pick again. We talked
Reserve
about this
time.
interaction with Doom and Ember last time, and you mentioned, Hani, that your other cores need to do early damage, right? Like, 'cause
I just feel, yeah, you need some kind of sustain in the fight.
Alliances turn
If you
to
have a
ban.
Razor, he will just slowly build up damage.
Right.
Whereas if you had a hero such as a Shadow Fiend, I mean, obviously he was banned out in both games. Like now again, Shadow Fiend is just one of the heroes that would give you this constant damage, and it's another target.
10 seconds
He,
Right.
you know, you can't ignore Shadow Fiend.
Okay,
so Ember
so-
will always be second in choice of when you
5
focus on one,
seconds.
which
What
gives a
would
lot of
be,
room to the hero.
a good substitute right now for the Shadow Fiend, or anybody that could do
Reserve
physical
time.
damage up front.
Windrunner is one option, I think. The hero,
If she gets an axe.
Radiant
yeah,
team
Windrunner
ban.
axe is a lot of damage. You kind of have to focus the hero as soon as you get that axe.
Okay.
Sustains the Dane very well, but at the same time, Ember mid is still an option as well.
Okay.
Though, knowing that
10
Sing is
seconds
going to
Yeah.
play the
remaining.
carry, most likely not.
Well, you just said that you would like to see Sing Sing play
5
mid again. Do you feel like
seconds
there's a
remaining.
chance for Monkey Freedom Fighters to have Sing Sing play Ember mid and have Arise
Reserve
play
time.
something else on the safe lane / off lane?
That would
Depending
depend on the mid matchup.
Okay.
Because Ember, some matchups you just can't face. You're not going to do anything.
Well, that is nice that they have that option perhaps open until the draft's actually already done.
Yeah, like right now it's still open on where he's going to lane. Problem will be that Lich can always rotate to that lane, and it hurts a lot. If you
Alliances
have a
turn to
one-on-one
ban.
and Lich is just going to deny your lane, he could shift towards the offlane again. We have Doom Lich. On Dire is really, really tough to do something against it,
Yeah.
because the angle is a lot longer on the lane. So you can't just, you can't just probably gank
10
that lane.
seconds
Having a,
remaining.
I think having a Shaker could have been an option if we have a Night
5
Stalker on a
seconds
support
remaining.
position,
Yeah.
though it's not that optimal anymore.
We actually had Earthshaker
Reserve
completely
time.
ignored previous drafts. Monkey Freedom Fighters removed the Tiny, obviously to maybe slightly remove the IO Tiny threat, but wouldn't you then remove the IO instead?
Yeah, I feel like I know it's the more logical ban, but
Radiant team ban.
I'm not too sure. Meanwhile, Dazzle gets taken out.
It could still open up that they still go with an AA as well. So they might think, I don't really have to ban the IO if I pick up an AA
Okay.
in exchange, as well as A plus Lich is not a good combo for
10
Alliance.
seconds remaining.
So you will not expect that hero on Alliance's side.
But it's two Frost
5
heroes.
seconds remaining.
Surely there's.
I mean, I still think that Wisp for Alliance is one of their most dangerous heroes. Sure, they're almost saying pick the Wisp, right? Because they're banning out
Yeah.
these other.
It's just...
they're banning two heroes that
maybe
normally
they'll get the
Alliance
Wisp for
pair up with the
themselves.
Wisp.
I'm just wondering if they're going for a Slaughter again. They ban as Sven, gives you a lot of armor.
Yeah.
You just run the armor strat. But
That's why we see Dazzle removed, right? That would be the other armor.
Remover.
that's on the side of Alliance, though.
Yeah, but like they know that maybe Monkey Freedom
10
Fighters
seconds remaining.
want to get something that either removes the armor or gets you yourself some extra armor, which
5
is
seconds
Dazzle in a
remaining.
nutshell.
I would say Dazzle is... We were mentioning earlier how it's a pretty good hero against Doom.
Against Doom as well, yeah.
So I guess that's the banning for that. Or generally, I guess he's just a good overall hero as well. He works. And it's rather simple to pull off.
Yep. Looks like we're seeing a Disruptor. Okay.
I do like it.
Alliance's turn to pick.
I think Disruptor Night Stalker is actually a pretty decent support duo.
It's so good at chasing. I mean, this entire team so far for Monkey Freedom Fighter.
They have a lot of synergy. It's like
Yeah.
at night, you get the vision from Night Stalker, then Disrupt with Glimpse. A Disruptor with Glimpse it's a good combination.
Yep.
Overall, you get a lot of utility into... If this would be the support duo, a lot of utility in two heroes. They will not have a save mechanism for you, but
10
they
seconds
offer you a lot
remaining.
without items. They don't have
That's
to have
true.
much, and they will still give you a lot
5
of vision
seconds
during
remaining.
nighttime. And Disruptor is always a pain in the ass to play against.
Reserve
Would you
time.
say really Disruptor really limits what kind of mid hero the Alliance could pick? Like, for example, Puck is no longer as good.
Puck has limitations. There's a lot of... I think that depends a lot on the Disruptor as well, on how well he plays, or how good of a start he gets. If he gets early level 6, he can be a really big annoyance.
Right.
Because you can start with Ember Chains into Ultimate, and you keep a hero in place. But I also think that Puck was rather a solution pick in the previous game. Batrider was banned out, and what other setup heroes do you actually have? There's very, very little setup heroes that S4 also plays
Yeah.
that would work on a side lane.
Right. I think Clockwork is being one of those, but it's not an S4 hero per se.
I think when he
Radiant
plays it,
team pick.
he needs momentum,
Right.
and it's kind of like this. You pick a lot of melee heroes. Clock with melee heroes is not that great because you cog
You
the
can't-
target,
teammates
and
can't
then
attack,
you
yeah.
can attack. So it's kind of counterintuitive. With Tusk being picked here, it's not a bad pick at all. I mean, when is Tusk ever a bad pick?
Did you say they have like 70% win rate with
Yeah,
that?
it's one of their most picked hero for Alliance.
10
It's
seconds remaining.
Lich and Tusk is definitely their comfort picks. So Alliance so far
5 seconds
pretty happy, I would
remaining.
say, with the draft.
I'm
So-
interested for the
Reserve
fourth pick here of
time.
Monkey Freedom Fighters because it will pretty much decide on what role Night Stalker will play and
Mhm.
potentially where Ember will go.
Okay.
So if it's something like a Windrunner, a mid hero, then you certainly know the lanes. You are pretty guaranteed the lanes. Night Stalker, I guess, can still rotate into an offlane position. But like you were mentioning, if that's the hero that Yapsor is playing, then
Ooh,
so we can
that's
see
a
it
face I
Dragon
haven't
Knight.
seen in a while.
Alliance's turn to pick.
That is an Arise hero.
It is, but it's also abusable, I feel. Dragon Knight is just, to me, one of those heroes that just isn't quite that strong. I'm not sure. I'm actually wondering what will happen if Alliance will pick up Timbersaw. Sounds very random, but
Yeah,
there has been a phase where you
10
pick a
seconds
Dragon Knight and you
remaining.
wait until your lanes are set, and suddenly you just get this
5
Timbersaw
seconds
as your mid
remaining.
laner, and Dragon Knight he really can't lane against Timber.
Reserve
Well, I
time.
haven't seen Alliance played Timber yet, but
It would be an S4
Yeah.
Timber as well.
we'll see if that's going to be the case. I mean, it's definitely another hero that doesn't care if he gets doomed, right? So, give you some front
Dragon
line.
Knight?
Yeah, Dragon Knight.
Slaughter pickup.
I mean,
Radiant
getting
team
rid of
back.
the Dragon Tail is pretty big for a team fight, but I don't think Bulldog wants to open the fight by dooming the DK if he's already in DK form or Dragon form. And looks like we're going to see a little bit of minus armor from Alliance.
Yeah, removing the slaughter
10
before
seconds
Monkey
remaining.
Freedom Fighters can pick it up if they were still planning to. And actually, we still
5
don't know if that Night
seconds
Stalker is going to be a core or perhaps an offlaner. So still
Actually,
keeping their options open.
There should be a Slaughter mid.
Reserve time.
Slaughter mid against Dragon Knight.
interesting.
Pretty sure it's Slaughter mid against Dragon Knight, and then you have a Doom Lich dual lane, and then a Tusk plus something.
Alliances turn
Could be
to
Tusk.
ban.
I think Tusk Gyro works. Maybe something that scales a bit better with minus armor, like Slaughter minus armor.
Why did you think it's a Slaughter mid instead of a safe or off lane?
Because it's a matchup that Slaughter can do well in.
Team pick.
Okay.
You have a one-on-one, and Doom is definitely not gonna go on. Like, okay, Doom can go in a safe lane position, but why would you switch something up as a duo? Like, you pick these two heroes, and they were almost guaranteed to be an off-lane duo. They were that in the previous game. They could switch it up into Lich Slaughter off lane or Slaughter safe lane, but
Is
where
Slaughter
does-
Tusk safe lane not a good option? Or
10
do Slaughter
seconds
safe lane by
remaining.
themselves, have a Tusk plus something else mid? Or Tusk on the
5
tri-lane,
seconds
aggressive tri-lane?
I guess Slaughter Tusk still works, so they have more options
Reserve
depending
time.
on what off lane they run.
Monkey Freedom Fighters been on a Death Prophet, so they are still expecting to see a mid hero picked up. In
I
that
think
case.
Alliance did pick DP once in the majors.
Did they run it safe lane or?
They ran it
Mid.
mid as I think as far as playing it.
Okay.
But I actually like the Slaughter mid against DK because you're very happy trading farm there, right?
I think you're quite alright because if you get a
Alliances
bottle,
turn
you
to
just
pick.
stun and last
Yeah.
it creeps.
And-
Whenever DK comes close, yes, he can breathe fire, but you trade farm, and the room control for Slaughter is pretty good.
Yeah. Brief Fire does last a lot longer now in terms of the damage reduction. So
Yep.
that might make it somewhat annoying for whoever that lanes against DK.
Then it's also like a way on how you play the lane. If you drag the creeps, and whenever there's going to be a last that's in range of
10
deny,
seconds
Get out of the way
yeah,
of the
you
flame.
just
Okay.
you just stun the target. Like there's a lot of options because you
Sure.
don't actually
5
use a lot of
seconds
mana
remaining.
to kill the creeps with your stun.
Would like if they do run Slaughter on the safe lane,
Reserve time.
would Magnus not be something that you can also run against Dragon Knight too? That's fairly safe, or is that one of those heroes that is actually going to be suffering because the minus attack? Oh, there you called it.
Jeez.
You called it. Timbersaw.
So you're saying this is mid timber?
Yeah.
Now,
It does only hero hard.
I just think, I honestly think that the minus armor, I guess, works for the dire strat, as you kind of have something for Roche, so
Yeah.
you can still take an early Roche fairly well. Timbersaw just doesn't scale that well with all the heroes. It's really good in the one-on-one, and I guess that's where you can see what Alliance did. They just waited out. Slaughter is still an optional mid hero here,
yeah.
but they just waited out and look at how we can lane. And the only hero that can go mid now, fairly, let's say, okay, would be an Ember. Ember still can go in the mid lane. He can, but once Lich rotates there,
10
Ember is not
seconds
going to have a
remaining.
good time, and no one can help him there.
Yeah.
Disruptor is just not really going to do much.
5
So who do you
seconds
feel has a
remaining.
stronger draft here? Alliance Monkey Freedom Fighters. Is it going to be a 1-1 or a 2-0? Gotta call something.
I'm just going to go with the underdog. I'm
Okay.
not a big fan of this prediction game, so someone has to call them.
It's fine. I mean, if you do it, then I don't have to. So I'm all for that.
All right.
What do you think, Lumi?
I'm going Alliance because I feel like right now MFF, they really lack physical damage. And Alliance Hero, you got the Lich Frost armor, you got the reactive armor. They're going to just be really tanky, and I think MFF is going to have trouble killing Alliance Heroes.
Well, we're going to find out who is going to take the series, if it's going to be a 1-1 or a 2-0 for Alliance. We'll find out in our second game of Alliance versus Monkey Freedom Fighters with Odie, Pixel, and Draskell.